Hello and welcome everyone to this very first live behind the scenes stream. I hope you all are doing well this evening or whatever time it is where you are. And for those watching on the replay, welcome to you or welcome back to my channel. It is a very hot day today. So I hope you all are keeping cool. I don't have AC in my home, unfortunately, so I have my windows wide open and a fan running next to me. Sorry, I had to turn down my my phone. I'm so sorry about that. Uh, anyway, I was mentioning the fan. Um, if it's noisy, I can adjust. So just let me know in the chat. So welcome again. As I mentioned in the live last week, I had made a few behind the scenes videos before that got very positive feedback. So I decided to make these a more permanent fixture on this channel, and also to include a live chat with these, as I thought it would also be nice to have more interaction with my viewers, whether you are from YouTube directly or from a Patreon. A very warm welcome to Patreon members, as well as channel members here on YouTube who are watching. I'm very appreciative of your support. And let me know, please, in the chats where you're watching from, if you will. Plus, if anyone has any questions or feedback that they'd like to share, you can type that in the chat as well. There is a slight delay of about 20 or 30 seconds, just so you know. But we'll work that out as we go along, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on the chat as I go along. I'm also curious to know which recent video was your personal favorite. Some feedback on that, if you wouldn't mind sharing. Okay, so let's get started. I have a lot of notes to cover, so please excuse me as I refer to them. The first announcement is that I am on a summer schedule for the months of June, July, and August. And what that means is that things will be a bit more low key and flexible. So there are no podcast episodes, and most likely, most likely there will be no spotlights either. We'll have to see about that. So in these months, yeah, everything is just going to be a little bit yeah, a little bit different, a little bit slower tempo. And I'm putting more focus on my standalone series in these months. Part three of When Simple Becomes Proof was uploaded last week, and I'm very happy that it is doing well. And I'm now beginning to work on part four. That I'm planning on uploading this next month if I don't fall into another rabbit hole with my research and I can stay on schedule. I will be taking a short break in July to enjoy some time off with some friends. That's basically why I've put the production schedule on the low burner for these months, as it's also important to have some downtime. However, there's a lot going on. There's plenty going on and a lot of things to come. So let's get into the current and upcoming events. Just checking on the chat here, hoping that everything is working well. I think it is. All right. The second item I would like to discuss is summer programs hosted by the University of Amsterdam on campus. The first intensive is already taking place, called the Psychedelic Universe Global Perspectives on Higher Consciousness. The directors of the program are Dr. J. Christian Greer, who is a scholar of religious studies and a longtime friend to the podcast and the platform. And he has a special focus on psychedelic culture. He holds degrees from Harvard Divinity School as well as the University of Amsterdam. And while he was a postdoctoral researcher at Harvard Divinity School, he led a series of research seminars on global psychedelic spirituality, which culminated in the creation of the Harvard Psychedelic Walking Tour. and a free audio guide detailing how the Harvard community has shaped the modern history of psychedelic culture. And he has published numerous articles on various psychedelic subcultures, and his book, Kumano Kodo, I have it here, Kumano Kodo, Pilgrimage to Power Spots, co-authored with Dr. Michelle Owing, analyzes the pilgrimage folklore associated with the rainforests of Japan's Kii Peninsula. His book, Angel Headed Hipsters Psychedelic Militancy in 1950s North America, explores the expansion of psychedelic culture within fanzine networks in the late Cold War area. And I also have this lovely little postcard that I got for Happy New Year from the Order of St. George. They have a pilgrimage group that I am a member of. And this is a little example of one of his paper shrines. Christian also has a book called Void Machines. And it's a collection of all of these little collages that he has made over the years. And it's beautifully, beautifully made. I don't know. Um, it's pure cut ups, cut and paste, little collages that he's made. Really, really beautiful things. That's also a book. I do not have that with me at this time, but that's also available that you can find. All right. So, for those who have followed my platform for a while, Christian will be a well known figure, and you can find the previous interviews I've done with him and Michelle here and also on Patreon for the full length discussions. The other director of the intensive is Paul Gillis Smith. His specialties are psychedelics and spirituality, and the Transcendence and Transformation Initiative. And he is the program lead at the Center for the Study of World Religions at Harvard Divinity School. His latest publication is Psychedelic Intersections 2024 Conference Anthology. I'll read the program description to you. Quote, today's psychedelic renaissance is haunted by the specter of religion. On the research front, clinicians, psychiatrists, and neuroscientists are now staking claims within territories previously reserved for religious experts or anthropologists, like the origins of otherworldly visions or the nature of mystical experience. Yet the emerging field of psychedelic science has neglected the deep historical interconnections between psychedelics, culture, and religion across time and space, from prehistory to the present day. Students who complete this course will gain a solid understanding of one, the historical contexts which have shaped the current wave of psychedelic research in the medical and scientific community. Two, the anthropological, sociological, and historical study of psychedelic spiritualities. Three, the diverse ritual contexts and expectations for psychedelic experiences across time, space, an array of global traditions. And four, the political, cultural, and ethical issues embedded within the shifting narratives of the psychedelic renaissance. This is a 2-week program that offers 4 European credits, and I believe it's now in the 3rd year, if I'm not mistaken. And I will provide links and the information for all the things that I'm going to be talking about in this live in the description box after the live is finished. So, who is this for? Advanced bachelor and master students, professionals working as clinicians, therapists, and mental health workers, policymakers, educators, and psychedelic guides. PhD students and postdocs with sufficient backgrounds can also apply, and you need a strong academic background for this one. Okay. The second summer program starts tomorrow, and it is called Arcane Worlds, New Frontiers in the Study of Esotericism. This is a 3-week course that provides 6 European credits. The directors of this program are Dr. Marco Pazzi, one of my former professors, and he holds the chair for the history of esoteric currents in modern and contemporary Europe. at the École Pratique des Hautes Études at the Sorbonne in France. He has left his position in Amsterdam to take this new one in France, and that's a very exciting change for him. In his work, he focuses on the history of modern esotericism, especially in relation to art, sexuality, and politics. The other director is Brennan Cattell, a PhD researcher at the Center for History of Hermetic Philosophy and Related Currents, otherwise known as the HHP Center at the University of Amsterdam. Brennan's background is in psychology and gender and cultural studies, as well as Western esotericism. And again, for those who have been following me, you'll know Brennan and their work on Lilith and monster theory. And Marco has also been a guest on my podcast, and those interviews can be found here as well. So, what's this program about? Well, I'll read from the description for you. Quote, esotericism has often been treated as a fringe pseudoscience, or at best, forgotten or obsolete knowledge. However, in recent years, there has been a steadily growing movement within the academy to study esotericism in its many expressions within a scholarly framework. The goal of this course is to bring together participants and enable them to delve deeply into how these studies, traditions, and related currents can be comprehended through developing a flexible yet rigorous scholarly framework. Participants will make use of primary sources as well as secondary literature that clarify the way in which esoteric ideas have circulated and continue to circulate in both mainstream culture and more marginal contexts. These traditions are diverse and are drawn upon by many historical, cultural, scientific, religious, and artistic movements and expressions, and have come to permeate many aspects of historical and contemporary life. The investigation into representations of the esoteric and the occult will go beyond the written word to include film, music, and graphic novels as we explore together the important movements in esotericism in the past and reflect on how it manifests itself today in the present. During the program, participants will also have the opportunity to visit the famous Embassy of the Free Mind, home to the Rittman Library, otherwise known as the Biblioteca Filosofica Hermetica. Who is this for? Advanced bachelor's, master's, PhD researchers, postgraduate, and working professionals. Any discipline with experience in studying and thinking about the occult and esoteric topics, basically, and a general interest in the humanities and social sciences are necessary. Now, unfortunately, I have not been on the ball about promoting these programs earlier this year due to my health issues that had me just doing the bare minimum. But perhaps this information can serve as inspiration for those of you who might be interested to apply for next year. And importantly, there's another piece of information here. If you don't have a background to be able to take part in or apply for any of these programs, there is also a winter fully online school in January for those who would want to get started called Forbidden Knowledge Introduction to Esotericism. This course gives 4 European credits, is 2 weeks long, and it's, as I said, fully online. I will be on the ball with this one. I will give you the information as to when applications are open, etc., later this year. And as well, I will provide the link for you that you can go look at it yourself if you're interested. Okay, let's get to some lectures. If you are in Amsterdam physically next week, Christian is giving a public lecture called Introduction to Global Psychedelic History on June 30th at 4 p.m. at the CREA Center near the university. A few weeks later, Brennan will be lecturing on The Monster Never Dies, an introductory lecture to monster studies on July 14th at 4 p.m. at the same center. I will be able to see Christian, but sadly will miss Brennan's lecture as I will be away. Also, those lectures are both free. All right, so that's all the Amsterdam stuff. Let me have a drink of water and we can move on to other events. Okay. On August 3rd at 8 p.m. UK time, previous guest Dr. Matteo Pilato will be giving an online talk hosted by Victor Wind Museum and the Last Tuesday Society, curated by Lena Schottenherz Heide-Brennant, titled Radio Sorcery, a resonance-based approach to the study of contemporary paranormal practices. Now, reading the description from this, so I'm just stick with me here. This is a chewy one. Quote, the talk introduces a sound and resonance-based approach to the study of contemporary paranormal experiences, focusing on the relational, affective, and performative processes that have shaped cultural practices in recent decades. Radio technology is central to this exploration, considered both materially and discursively. On one side, it traces the use of radio devices among practitioners from the early 1950s, beginning with Friedrich Jürgensen's experiments on electronic voice phenomena, or EVP, to the present, including the so-called Estes method popularized by the documentary web series called Hellier from 2019. On the other, the talk examines radio as a metaphor, often used to interpret unexplained experiences, engaging with ideas such as stone tape theory, T.C. Lethbridge's residual haunting, and John Keel's superspectrum. These and other frameworks conceptualize the paranormal experience itself as a process akin to radio transmission, made of the tuning in, decoding, and amplification of otherworldly agencies. However, the talk does not merely offer a history of paranormal uses of radio. Instead, it proposes an alternative epistemological framework grounded in sound and resonance, capable of foregrounding aspects often overlooked by ocular centric models. Thinking through sound and resonance as fundamentally interactive and embodied media, in fact, enables to challenge the often reductionist academic position to the field, redefining the paranormal not as a fixed object of investigation to be analyzed either as an ontological impossibility or as a subjective product of irrationality, but instead as a process the emerging from relationalities in between the embodied and the representational, the experiential and the fictional, the everyday and the exceptional. End quote. So, yeah, I hope you could stay with me with that description. I really find this to be fascinating stuff. I've already bought my ticket to this event. I'm looking forward to it. And again, Matteo was a former guest on the podcast talking about his research into the paranormal, sound, and Hellier. And you can access that here or on Patreon for the full interview. Okay. Now, the same location, the Victor Wind Museum and the Last Tuesday Society, is hosting another online lecture curated this time by Marguerite Johnson with Dr. Joseph Laycock, titled, Are You a Lizard Person? The Strange History of the Reptilian Conspiracy Theory, on September 13th at 8 p.m. UK time. Here is the description. Quote, according to conspiracy theorists like David Icke, our world has always been ruled by a race of evil, shape-shifting reptilian humanoids who masquerade as human and assume positions of power. More than a dozen violent crimes, including murders and bombings, have been committed by people trying to stop the reptilians. This talk traces the conspiracy theory from its origins in the stories of Texas writer Robert E. Howard, through occult groups during the Great Depression, and finally to the early internet. It will Also apply a religious studies approach to explore why the conspiracy theory is so enduring, end quote. Got my ticket to this one too. I think this is going to be a great talk. Joe has been a guest on my short-lived Patreon book club, the Double R Diner book club, where we discussed his book that he wrote with Eric Harrelson called The Exorcist Effect. Let me get it for you here. The Exorcist Effect, Horror, Religion, and Demonic Belief. And that interview or discussion, I should say, it wasn't really an interview, it was a discussion, a book club discussion, can be found here on this channel as well on Patreon for the full discussion. Joe has also written a book called Dangerous Games: What the Moral Panic Over Role-Playing Games Says About Play, Religion, and Imagined Worlds. Excellent read. If you're interested in satanic panic and things like that, this is your cup of tea. Circling back now to a previous spotlight, Jason Bartashus is going to be giving a 6-week course on Saturdays, starting September 9th and ending October 3rd, titled Stranger Things, Exploring 80s Pop Culture and U.S. Society. Jason will deconstruct the Netflix hit with primary, though not exclusive, focus on seasons 1 and 2. He'll examine the show's popularity, its reflections of 1980s social phenomena, and its layered intertextual references. Each week has a different topic, and I will just run down the titles here for you. Week 1, a global success, exploring the popularity of Stranger Things. Week 2, a history of the 80s blockbuster. Week 3, moral panics, stranger danger to Dungeons and Dragons, which, I mean, here we go. This book could be a nice supplemental read to that to support this discussion with Jason. Uh, Week 4, Hop, a vulnerable Indy Jones. Week 5, The Exorcist in the Upside Down. And yeah, The Exorcist. This is another book that you might want to read for context. And week 6, Phone Home Elf, an alien in a foreign land. And this course, of course, sounds very interesting. I like the show Stranger Things. As I mentioned, Jason talked about some of this in our interview that you can check out here on the channel if you're interested. It's also on Patreon. All right, moving on to October. The 3-day fully online conference called Creative Practices and Bridging the Invisible, which is organized by the Department of Art and Art History, the Center for Study of Ideas and Practices at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte, as well as RENCEP and their partners, PAS-E, the University of Exeter's Center for Magic and Esotericism, and Societas Magica, is happening October 15th through 17th. So 3 days. The time zone used in the program is Eastern Daylight Time in the US, so others will have to adjust accordingly for their start and end times. The event is free, but registration is required, and space is limited as the Zoom rooms cap at 100 participants. Just to let you know, here's what the organizers are saying about the event. Quote, belief is inclusive. Magic, spirituality, esotericism, and religion, and all potential remixings of beliefs and ideas related to these spheres. Creative practice is likewise inclusive. Visual arts, design, digital technologies, crafts, music, dance, performance, poetry, architecture, and more, end quote. This sounds absolutely fabulous. I'm so curious about this conference coming up. I've registered. Some of my former guests will be participating. Jeff Howard, Andrea Franchetto, and Kevin McLaughlin, just to name a few. It's a proper conference, so be prepared for long days and a different sleep pattern if you're in another part of the world, because you'll have to be starting either very late or very early. One good thing to know, however, a specially curated YouTube channel for this event is in the works and will be coming. So if you miss the conference, you'll most likely get to see some things from it later on. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. The other courses that I mentioned with the Last Tuesday Society, these are also online talks. If you cannot make it to the event itself for whatever reason, or perhaps a time zone issue, if you buy a ticket online, you get a recording of the talk afterwards that's good for 2 weeks that you can watch it at your leisure, which I think is an absolutely fabulous idea that they've been doing now. A lot of online events promoters are offering this possibility. Really, really great thing to uh, to take advantage of. Actually, I'm doing that right now because I'm live streaming while another event is going on that Vanessa Sinclair is hosting. Um, I will make a little note of that. Actually, I won't do that. Never mind. Scrap that. I won't do that because it won't help you at all. But yeah, I will be able to watch the point is I'll be able to watch it later once they're finished. I'll get the link and I can watch it. So it's very, very nice. So if you're multitasking, you have other things to do, or you're busy, or you're sleeping, or whatever, you can always watch it later on. Okay. Lastly, in November, RENCEP, which is the Research Network for the Study of Esoteric Practices, will be holding its first online conference from the 25th through the 27th, exploring the topic of magic and consciousness. The description states that this conference, quote, will bring together scholars, scientists, and experienced scientists, pardon me, and experienced practitioners to explore the relationship between magical practices and contemporary approaches to consciousness studies. All sessions will be held online starting at 4 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Central European time, thus making it possible for participants from different regions to attend. So they're already thinking about this with the time zones. Building on RENCEP's apraxeological approach, the conference aims to examine how practices traditionally described as magical intersect with current theoretical, empirical, and experiential perspectives on consciousness. Confirmed keynote speakers include Les Lancaster, whose work bridges esotericism and transpersonal psychology, and Mike Daw, known for his contributions to discussions of non local consciousness. In addition, several panels will engage with themes central to contemporary scholarship on esotericism, featuring speakers such as Wouter J. Hanegraaff. The program will address a range of interconnected topics, including questions surrounding qualia and consciousness, the relationship between language, symbols, and consciousness, with particular attention to traditions such as Islamic lettrism and Kabbalah or Kabbalah, depending on how you pronounce that word, predictive processing and magical cognition, psychedelics and psychonautic approaches, transpersonal psychology, and theories of non local consciousness. In line with RENCEP's practice oriented mission, the program will also include a dedicated practitioners panel designed to foster a structured dialogue between academic research and lived experience. End quote. I will update you with more information as to how to register and so forth, as that information isn't available just yet. With regard to the last part about practice oriented discussions, if you didn't know, I'll tell you now, I collaborate with RENCEP on a series that I host known as Esoteric Crossroads Scholars Meet Practitioners. And there is a new live session in the works at this point. Depending on the availability of the guests, we're hoping to have something scheduled in the next few months. I will keep you posted on this. Esoteric Crossroads is a separate initiative from this upcoming conference, just to be clear. And you can check out the channel and Patreon as well for the past sessions that we've held in the meantime. We've talked about Wicca, we've talked about Santeria, magical practices. Okay, let me have a little check here. All right. I believe that that's all for today. This is what I wanted to share with you. Um, all the links will be provided in the description box, as I said. I will also post everything on Patreon for the members there. As always, I appreciate your support, and I will be back again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.